Hi, thanks for joining me today. We're looking at a very, very famous etude, especially for anybody who's had conservatory training or any kind of training from a classical teacher. The Charlier number 2. And this is one of the style etudes. This is probably the most played etude in the book. Some people never play another one. And there are 36 of them, and they're all quite challenging. But the ingredient that we have come to love for those of us who know these etudes is that there's a lot of musical content. And they're also technical challenging. My understanding is that Charlier actually composed these for himself as pieces to keep his playing sharp. That address certain issues that he had difficulty with. Too bad we can't talk to him now and find out a little bit more detail about that. But I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. And I know it's kind of boring to just watch a guy standing playing an etude. There's no ambiance for you. You're just getting the direct product here. And so I may kind of provide some visual influence. Some visual. I'm a photographer, so I may include some of my photography in this in the background. But first, I'm just going to try and play through it straight, and see what we can find in this today. So, something very interesting about live music is that it's in the moment. It's different every single time. And something that we've gotten used to in our modern society is recorded music. And that's not live. Almost every bit of recorded music that you hear has been massaged in some way. Almost every image that you see has been altered in some way in order to fit somebody's idea of what would be better. And this is why live music is so important. So what I'm trying to do here is, with whatever flaws exist, let the life of the music flow through as much as possible. Now, many of you have had teaching about this. You may already have your own ideas. You may have your own performances of it, your own recordings of it, that may be far superior to what I just did. But what I just did was real because I didn't do anything to it. I just played it in the moment, and you're hearing it as it would be for a live performance. Now, this should be kind of an inspiration to us because while in the modern world you can alter things in order to create the reality that you would like, and of course with the coming of AI, this is going to be more and more true. You create your own reality, and that can kind of distract us from the true life that we're all living. This music came at a time, it was created at a time when the internet and most of the things that influence our lives, the digital world, wasn't even conceived of. But music is something that all human beings share. So let's see if we can find some basic things in this that could be helpful for you when you practice this. Now, one of the first things that I recommend to people is to play it without any musical affectations. I'm not saying without expression, but without manipulating it, without pushing and pulling the tempo, without changing the color of the sound. Now, timing with the tempo is something, changing the tempo, making it flexible, is something that should be a part of a natural expression. And so is changing the quality of the sound. But if can we do it without doing those things? And what that helps us to find out is, do we really have the necessary control in order to play this at the level of quality that we want to? So I'm going to check the tempo here. It says 84 to the quarter note. And I've got to think that that's Charlier's marking. It says allegretto. Now I know that I started it a little bit faster than that, and then I kind of settled into closer to that tempo. But this is what I'm talking about. Can we actually play it? So that's what I'm going to challenge you to do. And what that does is, now you're not kind of getting in the emotion and trying to be expressive and putting all these decorations onto the music. The only thing there is the sound and the notes, the pitches that Charlier wrote, and the rhythms that he wrote, and there's nothing else there. So that narrows your expressive possibilities. Then you start adding things. So what I did first is play it evenly, without any dynamic inflection, without any color, without any timing inflection. Now I'm going to throw in all of those and do it again. Now, let me tell you what happened. As I played the second phrase, I just got a musical idea. It's like, no, I'm not going to play it the same way. And that means that I wasn't physically as much in control. If I just played it straight, I can make all those notes sound, decent, pretty well in tune, even sound. And that's a great goal to start out with. But I tried to actually play it much more in gentle character. So I ended the first phrase. So now it had a much more, what's the right word? It's kind of a little bit tentative, a little bit shy, a little bit feeling of vulnerable the second time. Now, that just popped into my mind. I just heard it that way. And that's when you hear live music, you shouldn't be hearing somebody who's trained to do something exactly the same way every single time. When we're practicing for the orchestra, we kind of need to do that, but that's a starting point. I'm going to play it again and just see if something else comes to mind. And if it does, then I'll share it with you. Okay, so I don't have to try and control everything. I don't have to try and plan everything in advance. What I'm doing is I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it in my musical imagination. Now, let me share with you what I got that time. The first bar is actually a pickup. And because you have to ask yourself, why did Charlier write this in 3/4? What's the harmony doing? What does it sound? What impression, if you'd never heard this before, what impression did you get from listening to that? So those are the kind of questions you ask yourself. And then if you record it, you stand back and say, well, if I were listening to that and I'd never heard it before, I didn't know what a trumpet was. All I'm doing is hearing this sound of these notes. How would it strike me? What would it make me feel? You know, what would be the impression that I'm getting? And that's very difficult to do that, but that's using your musical imagination, using your imagination, period. So what I actually felt was, so now I'm putting weight on the downbeat of the bar. He wrote it that way. Now, I don't know if that's what he had in mind or not, but that's just what occurred to me. And then I played the same thing over and over again, since it's the same pattern. So through the timing, ya dee da dee da da, ya da dee da 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 dee ya da dum. So I'm hearing it that way in my imagination. And what I'm going to suggest that you do is start by playing it with as beautiful and even a free sound as you can, as in tune as you can, and perfectly even in terms of the timing. And see how much expression you can get just doing that. Just feeling the line in the sense of direction. And then let your musical imagination work. And that means you're going to try a lot of different things. You'll get different ideas. Now, we played the beginning and now we go into another section. And this feels like it's a little bit more, what's the right word? It wants to move. You know, the first is a little bit, there's a kind of a lament in it. It's a little maybe nostalgic or reflective. And then the character changes. So this piece is full of possibilities. There's so much here. If I played that again, I would probably play it differently. But it helps to have an idea of, I guess the basis of it is, what is the emotion that's being conveyed? What is the drama that's taking place when you hear this music? If you want to think of it in story terms, that works. If you want to think of it in, if there were a movie being made and this is the music that was carrying the feeling of the movie, what would be going on in the movie? If there was a character in a stage play, for example, what would they be experiencing? That's what music is for, is to convey these things. Now, we tend to think of this as technical challenge, which it is. Right after I stop that last phrase, then we have a big change in dynamics and a big change in character. And this is trumpet music. So we know, oh, you're supposed to play forte, and then we're supposed to play piano because it says so on the page. But what is the attitude? What's the character? So the first one sounds to me like a command. It's pretty obvious. It's, you know, it's an announcement or it's a command. And to me, I could play it straight. I'm going to go ahead and play it straight for you. And this is this is the bones of what's happening there. But when I add the rhythm, you see how I'm conducting it? It's not tan tan da da dee da. Now if you play it that way, it still works because it's good music. It has, you know, it's a trumpet, so it has an amazing sound and it has a character, an energy to it. A lot of things are contributing. The sound itself, the articulation, but you have to go beyond that if you really want to be successful in terms of conveying your musical imagination to people who are listening. So now it has a gesture to it. And so I'm trying too hard to play soft. I need to think, it's like a different voice. Some of you might have had the idea this can be like a conversation. You have one person that makes a statement, they make a command or they make a strong statement, and then you hear it kind of in entreaty from another person. Or you could be thinking about this person is saying, come on, let's go, to themselves. And they're going to say, but I'm tired, I feel weak. No, let's go. You see, there's all this dramatic energy there. Now, if you can tap into that, that's going to help your technique. And this is what I want people to understand. This is one reason why I'm working on this etude. When I hear those ideas, I want to be able to do them. And I need to practice to get comfortable with producing the ingredients, creating the musical nourishment, as it were, with the right flavors that conveys that idea. This is what musical artistry is all about. So it's not just technical control. It's interpreting the feeling. First, what does music say to you? And then what do I need to do what am I aiming for in terms of the qualities? And then what do I need to do in terms of my work to be able to produce those qualities at the highest level? Trumpet is a very restrictive instrument in a way. It's not an easy instrument to make music on, I would say. So this is a double challenge. If you hear somebody play this on violin, you're going to hear a lot of expression. String instruments in general have a lot more capability of expression, especially in terms of colors and so forth. So we need to try and emulate that. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole piece, but I'll indulge myself and play the middle section. And now the character totally changes. We go into a major mode, and it seems much more optimistic. Maybe it's remembering a better time or feeling like a sense of exultation, maybe. So here's the meno mosso. So there's a lot there. Now, my experience of that was I tried way too hard on the ascending line because I felt like a conductor. It was like, yum, doo-dee-dee-da. So I'm feeling this, I was like, okay, I need to make this big motion. But actually, I need to kind of chill. I need to be kind of comfortable and relaxed. The intensity has to be in my mind, not in my body. So if I try too hard, my fingers get a little bit stiff, I start choking a little bit, I'm pushing with the air to get to that higher A flat. And so what I would do is I'm practicing that so I can be perfectly comfortable going up, going down, going up, going down. And then I try and bring the gesture in, which conveys that kind of energy, da-dee-da-dee-da, without doing anything extraordinary with the body. And this is the best advice I can give you. You have to kind of go back and correct all those natural tendencies in the way you physically react to the emotional energy of the music. Those things become built into your playing, and it's like I think Jerry Schwartz once said that playing the trumpet's a lot like flying an airline, like a airliner, passenger plane, where you have a few moments of panic and hours of boredom. But this is not boring at all. We have those moments when you have like, okay, now things are getting hot here. And that happens in terms of the emotion of the music itself. Then we get another section, and this is the last one I'll do because it goes kind of back to the original material. But it says in the style of a recitativo, which is an opera term. This is the spoken dialogue, which is not a song, not an aria, but the spoken dialogue between the arias. And in an opera, normally it's sung on pitch. So you might say anything like, I went to the store to buy some milk. It's like something mundane in the conversation, but it has a musical content that conveys some of the attitude that goes through it. So a lot of people will say, well, this has to do with the timing. Yes, it's free, which means not in a strict tempo. So going back to my initial rule, I am going to play this without any affectation in terms of the timing. Now that feels a little weird to me, to be honest with you. But it's good to do that because that gives me just the shape. So if you practice just that for absolute evenness of sound, a freedom of resonance, equal quality on all the notes, and your best voice on all the notes, then you're going to be improving your trumpet playing tremendously. And when you get into the next section, sorry, I'm going a little long today. This is a very rich piece of music, as you can see. But I hope you're getting something from this. It says then stringendo, which to me means like the music is always urgent. It always feels like it's going someplace, but it's not in a accelerando. It's not actually gaining time. Now, I'm playing a little bit faster, but then I let it settle back and then it moves forward, and I hope you can hear some of that. But for most players, the main problem is going to be going from the upper note to the lower note with equal quality. So we go higher, lower. Time to go back and practice our expanding interval exercises in order to get this down. Unless you have that kind of control, you're not going to be able to do the music. So for me, this is the main driver that makes all this worthwhile. It makes everything I'm doing with playing the trumpet worthwhile is I get to say something, convey some kind of meaning from the heart. I have to work to understand what the music means to me, and then I need to find my own reaction, my own interpretation of it, and then I need to build the skills to be able to consistently and with a high level of quality reproduce those imaginary ideas so that other people can share them. That's the driver for me. So if you have the same feeling, I hope you just keep working. It's a lifelong process, so try not to get frustrated. Just recognize, oh, this needs work, and oh, this feels good and sounds good, and I like doing that. And then push yourself to see if you can keep reaching for the ideal in your own imagination. Okay, that was plenty for today. I'll catch you later on when you have a little bit more time. Bye-bye.